Hello and welcome to Whittle Waffle. This is a new thing. It's been a while since I did a podcast and I have never done one like this before, but I've been thinking about it for a while, and here we are, Whittle Waffle episode 11 technically, but we're probably going to go for one in this format. Whittle Waffle 2.0 episode 1. It's been a long time since I did this, but I've missed the podcasting malarkey, and this, like, to be honest, is the first time I've ever done it dressed as well. So, there's things to be thankful about straight away. I've decided to keep the old format because I really liked it, and this is a test pilot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If I hate it, if I can't stand looking at myself, then, that's that. So, in my old audio podcast, Whittle Waffle, which is unavailable now because I did not pay the Libsyn fees and my laptop crashed, so they're all gone. However, the blog posts saying that they're there are still there on my blog spot site. So you can see the show notes, but you can't hear it. But I'm going to stick to the same format that I used to do, which is stuff that I read, stuff that I listened to, stuff that I've watched, other geeky stuff, and knitting. Always knitting at the end for the geeks that don't want to listen to the lady talk about our knitting. And spinning now as well. But yeah. Oh, yeah. I've done things while I've been away, mostly had a baby, but I've done other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to stick to that format. It worked for us. I like it. And once I've got over feeling really awkward. Do I look awkward? I feel awkward. Then we'll start. I want to try and do as little editing as possible because I'm shit at it. And if I can do none at all, that would be brilliant. And that's quite likely. Do I have to tell you that I'll swear? I'll probably fucking swear. Even if I'm trying not to, So, let's talk about geeky stuff. And we're going to start with number 1, shiz that I read. Now, there's not going to be many comics, I'm going to be honest with you. Comics has been really hard since I had the baby because they're much harder to read on your phone, whereas prose or audiobooks can both be on your phone. So if your child happens to be watching 17 episodes of Hi Dougie on the Trot, then you can pick your phone up and you can read a few paragraphs. You cannot really pick a comic up and find your page and find your panel and catch up with. It's really not easy. And for those of you who can read them on your phone, like, God, you're younger than me, but good for you. I cannot do it. So there's been very few comics. I'm really missing them. There's like a little gap in my life, but I did read one recently, and I will talk about that. I read, have I got it? Where have I put it? It's somewhere. I read volume 1 of Planetary by Warren Ellis and John Cassidy, published by Wildstorm. I was in a Forbidden Planet looking for something to read while I wait to meet my friend, the glorious Isabel, from the train, and I went and had a quick look in the sale section in FP, which is always worth doing. They've always got some really canny stuff in there. Anyway, I'd picked up a couple of other things and I took to the till, and the gorgeous Peter, who works in Forbidden Planet, as well as being an awesome artist, he was like, these are 3 for 2. so go and pick another one. And I was like, I think I'd pretty much looked at everything. And he went, I'll come and help you. So off I went, and he picked that one out for us. And he said, oh, you've probably read this. And I was like, oh, actually, I haven't. So £2.99 later, and a pint in the head of steam, and I had. And I really enjoyed it. I've never read anything quite like that, and I've forgotten to write the blurb down, and it's been a couple of weeks now. I like the art, it was very dynamic. And the story interested us, so it's kind of like that sort of trope of an older, experienced fella who's been dragged out of retirement. But then it went somewhere completely unexpected. He's recruited to work for a team, and that's a little bit dubious in itself. Not really out to save the world, but working on commission or working for a company. I still haven't got my head around it yet. I'm gonna have to read it again, and I need to read the rest of it, so I've only read volume 1. And he's not really sure what's going on, and they're not giving him a lot of information, and then all hell breaks loose. And I really enjoyed it, so I will be picking up the next one, and the next time I've got a little bit of time I'll be reading it. But that was a wishy-washy review because I've forgotten to write any notes about it, because I'd forgotten that I'd read it. But anyway, that's the only comic I'm going to be talking about. I did get the 2018 Christmas special. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I missed 2018. I miss it a lot. But we'll get back to that when she's a bit older and I've got more reading time. It'll be back. But for now, it's just difficult. But I have read quite a few prose books, like I say, because I can. And finally, because I am like so good at the technology and the internet and what's new, I joined Goodreads. Have you heard of it? And I set myself a reading challenge for the year. So I wanted to try and be realistic, bearing in mind that I've only just been able to start reading again because of my crazy baby. And so I set a challenge of reading 20 books this year. I've already read 5, so I'm like, oh, get me cooking on gas. The fact that I'm back at work and I have a commute helps because I get to read on that. So the camera is wobbling because the cat is sitting on the table scratching. So if you hear a funny noise as well, the cat is washing just there. So I'll talk about 2 books that I've read recently. One I thought was alright, and the other one I fucking loved. So the one I thought was alright was called Magic Bites by... Stop scratching! Ilona Andrews, who I think is not a single person. It's a husband, and don't touch the camera, man, asshole. I think it's a husband and wife writing team. The cat's an asshole. Have you seen Captain Marvel? I'm pretty sure my cat is that cat. I'm not even kidding. The same cat. Anyway, what was I saying? Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews, which is not a single person, it's a husband and wife writing team. Now, I read the blurb for this and I bought it because it was on one of Amazon's Kindle 99p deals. They do every so often. Loads of things will be 99p and then the next day they'll be back up to a £5. So the blurb for this, if I'd read it first, would have helped. Sort of. The first part of the blurb says this, and I've had to write it down because technology is here and not here, and I couldn't work out. Anyway, that's It doesn't matter. My age and lack of technical ability is besides the point. So the blurb says, Future Atlanta. One moment magic dominates and cars stall and guns fail. The next, technology takes over and defensive spells are no longer work. That's the first paragraph of the blurb. The book doesn't have that information in it. It expects you to know it. So if you hadn't read the blurb, Cat, I swear to God. That's all. Right. Sorry about that. So if you're reading the book and you hadn't read the blurb like what I did, it's really confusing to try and figure out what's happening and why they keep talking about technology. The technology's up and the magic's down, and you're like, what? And it's not really explained properly, and that information would have really helped. The second part of the blurb, and now he's washing on my knee and his breath stinks. This is not going as I planned. The second part of the blurb talks about the main character, who is a character called Kate Daniels, and it sort of implies that she's hidden away and that she's in hiding because she's a magical being. That's not the impression that's given in the book. It starts off with your introduction to her is her being covered in blood, and she's just back from she's sort of like a bounty hunter type thing, which isn't really hiding. And then it said in the blurb, it says, when her guardian is murdered, she must choose whether to sort of come out of hiding and find the killer, or just to carry on hiding. That is not in the book. She just, as soon as she finds out that her guardian's being killed, she's like all, rah, gonna kill the motherfuckers, like that. So the blurb was written by, I think, somebody who got someone else to read the book and tell them what happened, and they made notes. Because, and I don't know about you, but blurbs are quite important to me. I spend money on books, and I kind of want to have the blurb to be about the book. Or not about something else. It's odd. And I buy books based on blurbs. Luckily, I didn't buy this book based on this blurb. I bought this book based on being a cheapskate. So, anyway, did I like it? Yes, I did. Was it problematic? Yes, it was. Was it awesome? No. Would I read the next one in the series? Yeah, I will. Will I pay full price for it? No. Will I attempt to get it out of the library? Yes. I think that's sort of the best review you can get. Would I buy it if it was $1.99? Yes. $4.99? No. But I did like it, and I think it's got promise, and I think it is a big long series. And you know, the covers I don't like, because if you've ever listened to me talk about or write about my feelings about Laurel K. Hamilton, that was an abusive relationship that I was in for a very long time, and I never want to go there again, you know? Money chucked away, shite that I felt compelled to read, coming back. I'm not getting into one of those relationships again. I'm much more picky these days. It's never going to be another Anita Blake for me, and I hope Kate Daniels isn't, you know, Anita Blake 2.0. If you've never read any of the Anita Blake books, you've got no idea what I'm talking about. But they started off really promising, and then they turned into utter porn, but not like good porn, like shit porn. And yet, I kept on reading them. I kept on buying them. I kept hoping and hoping and praying Anita Blake from the first few books was coming back, even though the author kept saying, nah, I'm happy writing this. I like it. Please stop. Why am I buying it? I honestly felt like I was under some sort of drug. And when I was reading them, I'd get really angry about how shit they were. And yet I was still reading. No, we don't need another Anita Blake. I hope that Kate Ang's not another Anita Blake, but I will give book 2 a chance. I've gone off topic. Sort of. So that's that book. The other book that I read, which I also got, there's a theme, for 99 pence in a Kindle deal, was a book called Strange the Dreamer by Lonnie Taylor. Now, I bought this book thinking that it would be a bit fluff, a bit light-hearted, pretty much what the Magic Bites one actually was. And I like a bit of that. I like a bit of paranormal romance. I like a bit of fluff. I like a Nora Roberts thrown in the mix. And I thought that's what this book was. Oh, and I was deliciously, superbly, wonderfully wrong. And that's a fact. So I'm going to read you a little bit of the blurb, but just a little bit, because I think this is enough. And actually, you don't... The blurb is actually like 7 paragraphs or something, and it's unnecessary. It's like spoilers. Anyway, the dream chooses the dreamer, not the other way around. Laszlo Strange, war orphan and junior librarian, has always feared his dream chose poorly. Since he was 5 years old, he's been obsessed with the mythic lost city of Weep, but it would take someone bolder than he to cross half the world in search of it. But then a stunning opportunity presents itself. Don't you just want to dive into that? Right. Already, you've got us because there's a librarian in it. And a huge, majestic library. Well, library porn is my thing, y'all. So, that was already the main characters. Junior librarian. What, like a library assistant? What, like library scum? Like me? It's a book about me. No, obviously, I don't believe that, but, you know. Anyway. The amazing thing about this book, and I haven't read one like this for a long time, is that it is quite a complicated world, but the world building is so utterly delicious and beautiful, and it's some of the most beautiful writing I've read in a long time. Like you're rereading sentences, not because you've missed what's going on, but because they're so beautifully written, you want to hear them in your mind again. It's gorgeous. It gets a little bit fluffy right towards the very end, but actually by that point you're so invested in the characters, in the world is so real that a little bit of, you know, romance seems fine. Actually, it wasn't too much, it wasn't inappropriate, but it's just beautiful and wonderful, and bits of it like, oh, tension in your stomach because of the build up the story, and it's just twists and turns, but all clear, and like there's mysteries unfolding, and you get answers enough to keep that part of you satisfied, but the mysteries keep coming to keep you involved. And that is clever. That is just clever, because if they solve a mystery too soon, then you've got no reason to keep reading. But well, if you're like me, if the mystery is too dense and you can't get a handle of it, like the last series of Twin Peaks, I'm just saying, then you check out, or I do. And this had that perfect blend of telling us enough that you get that satisfaction and keeping enough back that you want to keep on reading. And I think it's technically a young adult book, a YA book, and if you see that tag and it puts you off, then please just don't, because I don't think that tag is necessary. It's what it is. I read a lot of young adult books actually, and I wouldn't have usually you can tell I'm reading a young adult. This one, no, so I was quite surprised to find out after I'd read it that it was a young adult book, but tags is tags, is what it is, isn't it? So whatever. Anyway, I loved this book so hard, like it almost hurt me to finish it. I did that thing, you know, where you start reading it more and more slowly towards the end so that you don't have to leave it. There is another book in the series, but I needed to like have a break from it, not in a bad way, not like, oh, I need a break from it, it's been too much, but just like, I need to think about this, I need to wallow in it a little bit before I go straight back in there. And I think that's sometimes a good thing. Like, it really got in my head, and I loved it. I loved it, and I would really highly recommend it. So if you are looking for something a bit different and beautiful, almost lyrical, then this is a book for you. It's wonderful. So that's Strange the Dreamer by Lonnie Taylor. My cat has been such a kid. It's usually sleeping at this point, which is why I decided to do this, but no. Anyway, so that's all the stuff that I've read. I'll talk quickly about some stuff that I've listened to. Number one is a podcast, and it's not like geeky or pop culture, I suppose, at all, but it's wonderful and I recommend it. It's called Shagged, Married, Annoyed, and it's hosted by Chris Ramsey, the comedian who was just off of the Strictly, and his wife Rosie Ramsey, who is probably funnier. She's brilliant, absolutely hilarious. I also follow her on Instagram because she's just, every time I see one of our stories, it makes us laugh. She's fabulous. So Shagged, Married, Annoyed, they do the podcast together. They always have their beefs with each other, which they air in public. Some of them are so funny. They take sort of questions. People can email them questions of awful, terrible things that have happened, and they talk about their opinions about it and stuff. It's brilliant. So if you're looking for something really lighthearted and funny, I really recommend that. The other thing I've been listening to at the moment, it's not just one book, it's a series I've been listening to on Audible all the way through the Dresden Files. If you don't know about the Dresden Files, why? It's been around forever. It's a series of books by Jim Butcher. The main character is Harry Dresden, Chicago's only practicing wizard and PI, and it's written in PI style, so it's that, you know, typical first person, very typical PI style, but with that magical difference. The world building in the Dresden Files is brilliant. It's been running for so long that it's just all these different parts of it really make sense, and I've loved it for a very, 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 very long time. You've probably heard us talk about it. I wrote about it for SFX website, and I've listened to it all again recently, one after the other. As soon as I finish one, I start the next one. It's narrated by James Marsters, of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Torchwood, and The Runaways. I mean, he's proper a geek legend, isn't he? Now, James Marsters. I've met him. He's about 5'2". Just saying. There's no problem with that. My husband is very short. He's not very short. Well, he's, as Columbo would say, average size. I love James Masters. I love him. My husband believes that he is doing it in a funny accent, and when is his real accent going to come on, because it's his normal American accent. It's not a British accent. That makes us laugh. Why is James Masters putting that funny voice on? We all know he's really British. Couple of things, right? Nothing is going to taint my love for this series at this point. I'm too invested. I've bought all of the books. I have all of the books. I have bought them all again on Audible. Nothing is diminishing my love for it. However, a couple of things listening to it that one is a bit and the other one just irritates us. The first one is Harry's a bit pervy. He's a bit inappropriately pervy. And when you're reading it in your own head, in your own voice, it's not that bad. When James Masters is perving in your ear hole, it's noticeable. But to be honest, most of the time I just think, oh, Harry, man, do you pervert? We all know I would. So there's that. And the other thing is, and this is just me, and I know this is just me, but it really, really, really gets to us. James Masters doesn't say shone, the moon shone, the armour shone. He says shone. The moon shone, the armour shone. It shone down. Is this a thing? Am I saying it wrong? I've never heard it pronounced like that. And then, once you notice it, you notice how many times he says it. And Jim Butcher, you have to find a different word, because James Master's saying shone and it's getting right on me last tit end. Am I wrong? I love James Masters. I think he's an absolutely brilliant narrator. He's really, really gets into the story and you get excited too and everything, and he's just a brilliant actor and he's a brilliant voice actor. And it's just this with his shone. I don't like it. Now, I understand I have a comedy accent and I probably pronounce things completely different to how you do, and including like some people who live near here who struggle with the same accent that I'm just talking about my husband, but it's just, he's from Tenburn. Just anyway, you know when these things just, they're right in your ear, you can't really get away from them, and then suddenly that guy's such a douche. It's really, anyway, I'm up to Ghost Story, so not many more to go, and I am loving them, but there's a couple of moments, so because it's something like 16 books in now or something, listening to some of the older ones when people don't know what's going to happen to them, because probably at the time Jim Butcher didn't know what was going to happen to them either, and you hear them like all laughing and being happy and young, and there's a bit of your heart just breaking and tearing apart, and you might need to have a little cry. That cancels out the Sean. So it's a little bit heartbreaking, but I'm enjoying it, obviously, apart from the shining issue. And so I will carry on. So I'm up to Ghost Story at the minute, which I love, because the last book, like, they'd followed a similar, what's it called? Like a pathway, followed a similar pathway. That's not the word I'm looking for. I'll remember it at 3 AM. They've all followed a similar pattern until the last book, which is called Changes, rightly enough, smashes that old smithereens. And then Ghost Story, it gives you a sort of break while you get your head round the things that have changed. And actually, for a long-term reader / listener, it's kind of needed, because you have an intense relationship with these characters by this point. So such massive changes in the comfort and sort of quiltiness of those books is being whipped away from you a little bit, and I think that's a really good thing, and I think it's also a really brave thing. So like kudos to Jim Butcher for that, because it must be a scary thing to write to a certain pattern and have these certain tropes that you can rely on, not tropes but things and people, and to take some of that stuff away is brave. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying them, and I will carry on listening to them, which I've only got a couple left now. So, and hopefully there'll be a new book from him soon, because it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Yeah. So, yep, that's it. So that's the shit that I've read and I've listened to. And I'll talk about now shiz that I've watched. So let's get it out there. The elephant in the room. Certain Star Trek captain out there on his own. 92. And people are saying they're bored. Picard, obviously, I'm talking about now. All of you dissenters, all of you people who are bored, can shite off and steal Star Wars shit off the internet. You leave us Trekkies in peace. I'm up to episode 4. If you have not seen it, there's going to be spoilers now. Oh, spoiler. The episode has started with an ex-Borg man being violently attacked and having his eyeball ripped out of. And you lot, bored. What do people want? What do people want? 7 and 9 looking hot as fuck. And a leather jacket and all sort of ruched up a bit. Not the perfect one from, you know, Voyage. No. Oh, I'm bored. Fuck you. I love it. I've loved every episode. I love that sort of slowness and the unfolding and the pow 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 and then the slow again and the I love the fact that he's been knocked off his pedestal a little bit and that he's not getting everything handed to him on a plate. I love that. I love that he's gone out and found a ragtag group of misfits, because he knows he could call on the Enterprise crew, but he knows what it'll do to them, so he won't, because he's got dignity. Yeah. I've loved all of the characters. I love all the different threads. What about that one when the kick-ass Romulan dude just did a flying kick and cut that fella's head off? Bored. Too much video games, you people. Too many video games. Look what's happened to you. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. I hope you're ashamed. That man's out there fighting for right. 92. 92. I mean, I know he's not that in real life, but that's how old he is in Picard. He's 92. Some days I get up out of bed and I hurt my neck. I'm 42. Just saying. I love it. I love that it's released on a Friday here for those of us watching it on Prime. The correct way to be watching it, obviously. I get home from work and I'll put the baby to bed and I'll have a glass of wine and I'll watch Picard and I look forward to it all week. And I think it's wonderful. So now I've finished ripping ears. I don't really care. You do you, darling, as the kids want to say these days. You do you. I'll watch Picard and enjoy it. Right, so that's that. That's all I've got to say about that. Except for really fancy the dude whose name I've forgotten, who is the captain of the ship and all of the EMHs. Well, not the EMH and the other electronic. I think he's hot. He's very, very pretty in every incantation. Incantation? No, that's like words. The word that sounds like that, but means something different. On the same page here. Anyway, God, I love it. So there. The other thing, we've just started watching episode 1 of season 3 of Sabrina. Now, I've loved the last couple of series of it. I've loved episode 1 of this one. I just really don't like Sabrina very much. I don't think I'm alone. The rest of the cast is fabulous. I think she's a fabulous actress. There's something about her lines and her face. I want to love her so hard. But maybe I hold some like 40-year-old resentment because, you know, I am 42 years old. Hold some sort of resentment that she's not, you know, Melissa Joan Hart. Maybe some part of us hurts. That's not, because I loved her. I still love her. She's in Christmas films on the Hallmark Channel every year, and oh, there was one with her and Dean Cain. That's a whole other rabbit hole there. But maybe it's that. I don't think it's that, because I love the rest of the cast. And I don't dislike the actress. There's just something about the character is irritating. Really, really irritating. Still enjoying it. The older cast is my favourite rather than the kids. Maybe that's, again, my age. But Richard Coyle, who I've been in love with since he was, you know, Jeff off a Coupling. Oh, love Jeff off a Coupling. He's amazing. Lucy Davis, amazing. Oh, Michelle Gomez. Every time you see that woman, she gets hotter. I want whatever she's having. It's Jack Davenport, isn't it? She's married Jack Davenport. Anyway, I don't want Jack Davenport, but she's just so fabulously sexy, that woman. Anyway, I've enjoyed episode 1 so far. I like the twists. I had a beef with it though. I had a beef. Here is my beef. Spoilers if you haven't seen season 3, episode 1. Spoilers. So, Sabrina, during the episode, announces herself to be Queen of Hell so that she can appoint Michelle Gomez as regent, because the Kings of Hell won't accept Michelle Gomez as queen because she hasn't got a penis. I think that's it. They're all forms of demon. I don't know their penis situation, so it might not be that. Some of them might have 7. She herself might have 1 tucked away. I don't know. However, they're refusing to accept her because she's a concubine, and I don't know what hedgehogs have got to do with it, but there you go. So anyway, this young Point Break from the beach turns up and he says, I don't accept you as being the Queen of Hell. I'm a Prince of Hell. I should get to be king. And she says, no. I was like Satan's partner, therefore I get to rule. And he's like, prove it. And they're all like scrabbling to prove it, and then Sabrina appoints herself as Queen of Hell so that she can appoint her as regent to get like a loophole. Why didn't nobody say to bitch bum made of clay, dude? Well, what right have you got to be King of Hell? Get back to your fucking sandcastle. Point Break, have you not got some banks to rob? Like, seriously, young man, don't you have to spend like 90% of the day removing all the body hair apart from this bit. And that's going to take up quite some time. So how are you going to do your ruling? Now, women, we've always had to factor that into our daily routine. But for you young men, it's new, isn't it? So I'm sure multitasking is your strong point, man made of clay, with absolutely no right to the throne either. But there you go. Now, you can tell that none of these people are Geordies, to be honest with you, because he racks up and says, my dad's bigger than your dad, and your counterpoint would be immediately, no, my dad's bigger than your dad. And he'd be like, prove it. And you'd be like, you prove it, I'll get my brother down here and he'll kick your face in. And other bad language. Be like, yeah, man, fuck off. And I couldn't wrap my head round why that conversation happened. And it, like, annoyed us. That was me beef. Apart from that, I really like it. Especially Lucy Davis. Anyway, moving on, because I'm getting a bit ranty, and I don't mean to, because these are things that I'm enjoying. Very quickly, because this has gone on longer than I expected it to go on, because, you know, gobshite. I am rewatching Farscape for the first time since it came out, and the hubby is watching it for the first time ever. He's never seen it. We are up to series 2, episode 19, which was the first part in a 3-parter called Liars, Guns and Money. And if I thought I loved Farscape back then, I love it even more now. This thing has aged unbelievably. Scorpius still is utterly terrifying, and I really don't know how they would improve on his makeup and his look today. It is absolutely wonderful and terrifying, just as terrifying as you remember. If you've watched it again, you'll know. But seriously, amazing. And it is really interesting for me to see it and remember bits, but not all of it. So it's kind of a new experience, but with that like comfort and familiarity. Like, I know all the characters and I love them. If I can't quite remember their adventures, then that's just a bonus. Whereas for the other half, coming into it completely blind and just being blown away by it, blown away by the humour, which is so funny. Some of John Crichton's lines are absolutely outstanding, but how alien they make it, the makeup, the puppets, it's just, oh, I want to hold Pilot's face in my hands. I just want to hold his face in my hands. My girl crush on Claudia Black remains as strong as ever. That woman is so fucking sexy. It's unreal. But just the quality of the writing and the performances and the camaraderie between the cast, it's just wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And how they embrace the alienness of it is just, I can't praise it high enough, and I'm loving every second of rewatching it. So I can't wait till we get some of the episodes that I can remember, like the Looney Tunes episode and stuff, and I can't wait to watch them again. But yeah, wonderful. And the last thing I'll talk about quickly, the stuff I've watched, is I watched The Good Place finale last week, and I'm not done crying yet. That was 4 series of perfection. It's absolutely wonderful if you're down in the dumps, if you need a break, if you just need like a go and watch The Good Place. 20-minute episodes, like perfect for binge watching, but also if you don't have much time. It's so well written, and again, wonderful actors, wonderful characters, but them together as an ensemble cast is what makes it work, and it's wonderful. So I'm not ready to talk about the finale yet, but I did watch it, and it's worth watching. That is the geeky section complete, and now I will be talking about knitting and spinning. So, the last time I did a podcast, I was knitting, and I think I was spinning on a spindle, but since then I got a spinning wheel. I got a Kromsky Fantasia double treadle spinning wheel, and I love it so much. I love it. I find it hard to get time to use it because as soon as it comes out, the baby is all over it like a rash, so I have to wait till she goes to bed and then anyway, it's an absolutely wonderful spinning wheel. It's perfect for beginners, which is what I was. I'd spindle spun, I'd never wheel spun. It was really easy to put together. It was a reasonable price for a spinning wheel. These are really expensive bits of kit, and mine was a present from my husband, so that's another whole huge story which we'll not go into. But I'm very thankful to Michael J. Fox that I got my spinning wheel. I love it. I'm spinning at the moment. Did I bring it? Some fibre, which is natural undyed fibre. This is a bobbin full that I got. I got 500 grams of, I think it's pronounced massum, but it's spelled masham. I don't know. But it is so easy to spin, and it's spinning really nice and sort of, there's 2 strands there. It's gorgeous. It's really easy. I don't have to think about it. It's easy to draft. It's easy to spin. It's beautifully prepared by Adelaide Walker. I'm onto my 3rd bobbin of this, and I'm hoping to make a 3-ply, and I'm hoping it's enough to make something substantial, but I don't know what yet. But I am really loving that when I get the chance to spin on it. I also bought on a Kickstarter, and I'll show it to you next time, a e-spinner. Electronic spinning wheels are sort of like usually quite chunky size, but tabletop, and there's no foot pedals. It's electronic, which is why it's an e-spinner, and so it turns the fly for you, so you don't have to do it. They're typically between 500 and 1500, if not more. They're very expensive bits of kit. There was a Kickstarter for a 3D printed version which sits in the palm of your hand. It's called the EEW Nano e-spinner, and it was £100 with £20 customs to pay when it arrived. It came with 7 bobbins and a USB plug, so I bought a battery pack to use it. It is completely different experience spinning on that as it is to my wheel, which has quite a bit of tug to it. This has none. You have to feed it through when you're spinning, and I do like it, but it's a completely different experience. I am spinning some stuff on that at the moment, but I forgot to bring it out, so I'll show that to you next time. I get quite nerdy now about the spinning. I'm really enjoying it. It's nice to see something right through, so to get the fibre, to spin it, to ply it, to soak it, to dry it, to knit with it, and then have a finished object at the end. I've done that with a jumper for Ari all the way through, and every time I see her wearing it, it makes my heart happy. Like, I did that. I made that, but I didn't just knit it, I made it. It's quite a nice feeling. So that's it. If you're thinking about spinning and you want to ask us anything, I'm quite a newbie still, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. The main thing that I'm knitting right now, and I've been knitting it for a while, I did a lot of Christmas knitting, and I just wanted something that I could knit without thinking about it. I don't like the term mindless knitting. I call it automatic knitting, because I'm not really looking and I'm not really paying any attention, and I am of course halfway through a row because I'm an absolute fucking arsehole. But all I'm knitting at the moment is a log cabin blanket, and that's the back. And that's the front. So it's made all with leftover sock yarn. It's all scrumpled up from being in my handbag all day. This is the 4th square that I've made. When I finish this one, I need to lay them all out and see how big it is and see how much bigger I want it, because I want to do a fairly substantial border all in one colour so that it ties it together, because this is all leftovers. Sock yarn, and I quite like that, so I can see that there is socks that I made for my mum, and socks. This one was socks that I made for Tala when she was little, superhero socks she wanted. And think I like that I can see those other projects in this project, and this is going to be for Ari for our cut sides will be coming off fairly soon. I don't know if you got a glimpse of it, but I've got the sexiest project bag ever, by Jibby Roo Saws. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, witches. It's beautiful, and it was really reasonably priced, and it's really well made and beautiful. So I'm really, really happy with that, because it gets abused, shoved in my handbag with me pat lunch on top to go to work and things. It gets dragged around everywhere. So it's nothing exciting. I've got a couple of things that I'm planning. First one is this, which I've caked up ready. This beautiful wool. You can see all the colours. Is a bit geeky, because this was part of a supernatural themed yarn box that I bought, and this colour is called Winchester's, which I think is perfect because of all the sort of this colour checky shirts and jackets and things that the Winchester boys wear. And this is going to be a sockhead hat. Just had to order new needles because I didn't have any in the right size. That's a lie. There'll be 3 pairs in this house. Where they are fucking hiding though, I don't know. So they should be coming in the next couple of days, and then I could get that started as well. Also a bit of automatic knitting too, because a sockhead hat is 4 inches of ribbon, ribbon, followed by about 7 inches of stocking stitch in the round. So yeah, I'm obviously in that place, and I'm okay with that right now. I'll want to knit something. I did a lot of colour work and a lot of fancy lace socks and things for Christmas, and I just need this for now, and I'm happy with that. And I think that's it. So I will attempt to do some show notes, and I'll put them up on my blog, which is Whittle Waffle blogspot.co.uk. I think it's been a while. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any feedback, that is all telling us how wonderful I am, and I should have probably put a bit more makeup on, you know. That would be fine. Like I say, I'll not be editing this. There's no fancy pants clips or links or, you know, book covers or any shit going in this. This is going to be as it is. And if you liked it, I'll do it again. If you made it right to the end, thank you very much for spending some time with me. I really do appreciate it. Chat to me about anything that I've read. I would love that. Chat with me if you have any recommendations or to correct me on anything too. Best place is on Instagram, where I am Whittle Waffle. And unless you already know me and are friends with me elsewhere, in which case, why I? Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you felt less awkward than I did at the beginning, but actually, I feel alright now. It's not that weird. Except for I've just realised that there's a half naked foal is just there. I'd just given birth. Let's not have any judgment. Good night. Or goodbye. Or good day. Or whatever time it is that you're watching it. It's night for me. So I'll go to bed. Good night.